So this will be the beginning of a string of really belated movie reviews, and it's going to be my first regular Filipino movie review, and don't worry, not all Filipino is spelled like that. So that title up there is pronounced ABNKKBSNPLAko, which roughly translates to Hey, I Can Read Now. Yes, that's what it means. And this movie is directed by Meily and stars Jericho Rosales and the Eigenman, Vandal Quizon, and Meg Imperial. Now this movie is actually based on a book. Yes, I'm just hiding my last name. It's based on a book by Bob Ong, who last time I heard isn't actually a real person, he's a collective of people. Anyway, so this book really is pretty much a non-fiction book. It's a collection of anecdotes about school life from like the 80s up to, uh, the author's life as a teacher. And as is always the case, when you have a book like this, it's always hard to translate it into film. And it really shows in this movie that they did have difficulty with that. But this movie also knows its strengths, and it does have good stuff in it too. Okay, so this movie is essentially split into two modes. It does the slice of life kind of stuff on one hand, and then it has this romantic story in it too. So, I have my feelings about those two are very different, and I'll talk about the slice of life stuff first because that's the stuff, in my opinion, works really well. The thing about it is that a lot of people say that you needed to have to be in that time period, like the 80s, to really relate to it. In my opinion, you don't really need to because the way they do it, it really is very charming. And even if you didn't experience it firsthand, because in these slice of life parts, they just kind of talk about the games they played when they were in grade school and stuff, and just the detail they have talking about these things, it really brings you back to a time when these petty things were very important. They did mean a lot, and they did contribute to your growth and development and stuff. So I thought that stuff was handled very well, and but what really surprised me was that the characters here are actually very well drawn. Jericho Rosales' character, Roberto Ong, supposedly, he actually does go through very believable emotional arcs. His it doesn't feel like multiple authors. It really does feel like a character. And the addition of his two best friends, that whole trope of having a male best friend and a female best friend, Ulo, played by Vandolph Quizon, and Portia, played by Meg Imperial, I thought, their addition is very welcome also because, I don't know, they just really did feel like genuine friends. And what surprised me even more was that the acting in this movie was actually really good, in my opinion. Like, Jericho Rosales is always a good actor. People mistake him for like a pretty face. I guess you could say he's kind of like Leo in that sense. But I thought he really did hit every emotional beat very well. Like I said, his development was very believable. Vandal Quizon he kind of stays the same throughout the entire movie, but I'm willing to look past that because I guess you kind of needed that kind of character who doesn't change throughout his life. Meg Imperial's performance as this like lesbian best friend was actually really really fun. Like, she really just no holds barred. She just had lots of fun with the role, you could tell. And can I just mention that she is really attractive, like, to me at least. I mean, I don't know. And the Eigenman was actually not annoying, which is like a huge feat for me. Like, she was actually tolerable in this movie, and I really appreciated how her character was just referred to as special someone. They didn't give her a name, so I don't know, and I really did think they used this well. It didn't come off as awkward or anything. Just special someone, just came off very naturally. And again, I'm surprised by how self-aware and fun the direction was from Mark Meily. He really kind of shot this in a, I'm not sure what movie to compare it to, but it's very in your face. It's very, like I said, self-aware. He knew what it was and said, this is like a portrait of this kind of life. We're not gonna try and pretend there's a story in all of it, and I really, really appreciated that. However, it's when the film starts talking about this romance thing between Roberto Ong and Special Someone that it really gets bogged down by lots of stuff. I feel like it's as if the filmmakers saw the source material and said, okay, this is really hard to translate into film. We have to, put in a certain storyline that will connect everything together, and that's going to be the romance, and it just did not work in my opinion. For one, the pacing throughout the movie is uneven, admittedly, even with the slice of life parts, and for me that's forgivable because, that's how slice of life is. But when the romance stuff kicks on, it just really slows to a crawl, like, even more. But my big problem with the romance is that it has, like, no flavor at all. When you look at the other parts of stuff that actually deals with school, there's lots of personality there, but the romance feels absolutely generic, cookie cutter stuff. The writing and the dialogue really also just do not work. It just really does feel like they, fell victim to the whole cliche of having a romantic plot in it, and I really wish it just didn't do that. And that really is my biggest problem with the movie. And I forgot to mention that the music in the movie, however, is actually very, very cool. They do use songs from that era, from these eras, and what I like is that they didn't limit it to like Filipino songs because honestly speaking, back then in the day, actually even till today, the popular songs are Western songs, and they did have like those old Spandau Ballet-ish kind of songs. I really like that. Oh yeah, and just like a little nitpick in terms of like makeup, um, it's hard to believe Jericho Rosales can be a high schooler. There's no way to go around that. I mean, Meg Imperial I can believe, but him and Vandolph Quezon, they look like old men. Well, not really old men, but then they try to give these guys makeup, just does not work. Like Jericho Rosales' pimples do not look like pimples. Vandolph Quezon, one scene still had his tattoos on in high school, and another scene you could see that they tried to put on a bit of makeup, but it just didn't work. However, overall, I thought this movie still was okay. It did have good stuff, and I, will remember those parts. I really just wish they did not do the whole romance thing because it was a disservice to the whole package, really. And I really did wish they tried to string all the experiences together through something else. Focus on the school aspect. However, I am happy that filmmakers are taking on source material like this and they're doing kind of newer, daring things. So, hopefully this is the start of something new and better. So yes, that is my opinion on Ba Nakakabasa na Pala Ako. I really hope you guys check out Filipino film because lots of it is great. For the Filipinos out there watching, please continue to support Filipino film because it's only getting better, I promise. So whatever your thoughts on this movie, whether you agree with me or disagree, please leave a comment and let's have a conversation.